Hey y'all, how are you? I came to give you a warning. Do not camp on Texas beaches. Unless, of course, you listen to what I got to tell you so you can be safe. The first thing you need to know is this is your best friend. You're going to need some deep woods off with a DEET in it for sure because the mosquitoes are ridiculous. Actually, it depends on which way the wind is blowing. If the wind is blowing out of the marshes, it blows the mosquitoes onto the beach and onto you. But if the wind is coming from the beach side, you're good to go. You don't need any spray. So make sure when you're packing your car that you pack plenty of this. That's my first tip. Second tip, make sure you have sunblock. Don't be one of those crazy people who say, oh, I need a tan, and so I don't need sunblock, or I don't burn at all, because you're going to. I got a story to tell you. When my husband and I first started going to the beach together, we went with a group of his family, and there were several young girls, and they were all saying, oh, I got to get a tan, I got to get a tan, I don't burn. And they were rubbing baby oil all over themselves and laying in the back of the trucks and laying on the sand. And guess what? They burned so bad they couldn't hardly walk for a week. And they were crying. And they did it all again the next time we went to the beach. But anyway, don't be that person. You need sunblock. And also be aware that the wind will burn you as well. So have some protection there too. Okay. Another thing you need to know is there is wildlife on the beach. Not just crazy people coming up and that kind of wildlife. I'm talking about real wildlife like wild hogs on the Bolivar Peninsula. I know for sure there are wild hogs there. So you need to just be aware that they're there and stay out of their way. Another thing, there are coyotes and bobcats. Wildlife on the beach. For real, I'm for real. So be aware they're there. Remember, that's their environment first, and we have come to enjoy it with them. We have to coexist. Also, speaking of wildlife on the beach, stay out of the sand dunes. Stay out of them. There are rattlesnakes in there. I'm for real. There are rattlesnakes in the sand dunes, and they're going to bite you. Also, they sometimes come out of the sand dunes, so watch where you step and be aware. Okay? Other thing, rip currents. Many people drowned on Texas beaches every year because of the rip currents. They don't realize what they are. Actually, if you'll watch some YouTube videos, just type it in, you'll probably see some. But if you don't, when you get on the beach, check with the lifeguards or look for postings, things like that, so you'll know if you happen to get caught up in a rip current, how to get out of it. Most people will panic and they will try to swim back to shore. You're not going to do that. You need to swim to the side of it instead of swimming straight to shore when you're caught. Just relax a second, which will be hard to do, and then realize you need to swim to the right or to the left. Don't try to swim back into it because you're not going to. So that's one thing you need to be aware of. Read up on that. Also, look at some of the pictures so you could see from the beach what a rip current looks like. You'll know if there's a rip current out there. So read up on that. Make sure you know what you're looking at and what's going on. Another thing to be careful of, a danger of the beach, jellyfish and the man-o'-wars. If you get stung by one, what you gonna do? If you listen to all the wives' tales and just the talk on the beach is to pee on it, to neutralize it. That's what they say. I don't know about all that. That's what they say. But my advice would be to have some white vinegar with you, or vinegar of some sort. If you pour that on there, it does neutralize it. Also, if you just don't happen to have any and you forgot what I said in my video and you were not prepared, if you're having hot dogs, you might have some mustard in your cooler. Mustard has vinegar in it. Slather some of that on. That might help you. Also, there's alligators. There really are alligators that sometimes come onto the beach. They will swim out of the sloughs and the bio parts. That they used to say, well, they said that they get lice, and so they come over to the saltwater side to get that and any other parasites off of them, and then they come back out. But there have been spottings of alligators on the beach. I'm really serious, but it's funny to tell somebody that. Also, watch your pets. If you go into any area that's not on the beach side where there might be little ponds and things like that, those alligators get in there and you're not going to see them before they grab your dog. So keep your dog on a leash and make sure you know where they are. First aid. Make sure you're carrying some first aid with you. A lot of times, there's not supposed to be glass on the beach. You're not supposed to be having glass beer bottles or wine bottles or things like that. But sometimes, people break the rules and they might leave some jagged glass on the beach. And if it's in the sand, you're not going to see it. You're going to cut your feet or cut something. Make sure you have something in there for a large wound in case. Some antibacteria, things like that, stuff to wash all of that with and bandage it up if you need it. Water. You're going to need some water while you're there. Of course, everybody wants to have a margarita on the beach or some beer, all of those things. But you'll get dehydrated. So make sure you have some water, that you're drinking some water. Have your beverages, but have some water too, okay? Make sure that you have that on there. Make sure you know what the flag warnings are. There'll be red flag warnings, the yellow warnings, a green warning. There's signs posted all around the beach. Make sure you go by and check it out and know what the flag warnings are so you keep yourself safe. Okay, what else is my warning for you? Oh, you camper people, you better know what the tide is. Some areas of the beach are very narrow and some are wider areas. When the tide comes up, you might be out in the ocean in your tent. So make sure you know what the tide is. They have tide charts you can get at some of the gas stations or where you get your bait. Usually they will have the tide charts, but you have to know how to read the tide charts too, because it might say the tide is coming in at 8 o'clock at night in Galveston, but you're on Bolivar Peninsula. So you have to know that it's going to be a little bit faster or take a little bit longer for that tide to come in. So one advice I have to you is listen to the locals when they tell you, hey, you're too close and the tide's going to get you, because they know. So make sure that you are far enough away, or if it's good, sometimes the tide comes in and there's no beach left. So be watching the weather, be watching the tides, all of those things. Weather changes very quickly too, so you need to really be watching that. I'd hate to hear about you or see your camper out there floating in the water. Okay, I want to show you something that's a cool little thing. Glow sticks. You can take these glow sticks and tie them on the strings of your tent so you don't hang yourself on the string when you come outside at night to sit around the campfire. And speaking of campfires, I'm going to talk to you about that in just a minute. Let's see here. Let's get my light back on. This happens every time I try to do a video. My light wants to leave me. Ha! There I am. Okay, anyway, I was showing you the glow sticks. You can tie them onto the strings of your tent. You can hang one from the zipper or something like that, so you're not walking into poles or strings. And then you need your first aid kit after that. Also, if you're fishing and you want to see if your pole is bending, if you have a fish on the line, you can hang this on your fishing pole so you can see what's going on. Anyway, oh, two, you can hang them on your dog's collar so you know where your dog is. And if you get the little bracelet ones, you can put them on yourself or your children so you know where they are when you're walking around the beach in the dark. We used to take them all the time when we would go down there. So that's a fun thing to know. Now I'm going to talk to you about campfires. Two things to know are, one, the winds are very high and you can catch everything on fire very quickly. So make sure you know how the wind's blowing. If it's blowing too much, make sure you dig down in the sand and build a little pit for it. But also, when you get ready to leave that fire, a lot of people think, oh, let me just throw some sand on it and it'll put the fire out. Well, it doesn't. It continues to burn underneath the sand, and then when somebody walks on it later, you burn your feet. Can be a very severe burn as well. So make sure you're putting it out with water. There is 1,000,000 gallons of water right in front of you. Grab a bucket, put that fire out all of the way, and then that way nobody gets burned. So I think I have told you all of my warnings to not camp on any beach in Texas before you know these things, because you need to know these things. Let's see. I told you about the wind. I told you about all of that, but mostly I want you to really enjoy it. Do I recommend you going to Texas beaches? Yes, I do. Do I recommend that you know all these things before you go and research a little bit? Yes, I do. So I want you to leave me a comment in the comments if you've been camping on the Texas beaches. What is something that you would share your wisdom with some of the other viewers who have not been yet? What do they need to know that I haven't covered yet, or that I've covered and you have a story to tell them on that too? Also, what is your favorite thing about camping on the beaches? I love that we can drive on them. I love to watch the sunset coming up, especially in like October when the big harvest moon comes up out of the water. It's fantastic. You do not want to miss some of these things. I love cooking on the beach, our fresh catch. We've been on the Texas coast camping for over 30 years, so have a lot of experience there. Let me know in the comments what your experience is, what you love about the beach. What are the things that you would heed a warning to somebody who's a new camper there? Let them know as well. If you're wanting to camp on the beach, what is your fear? Or do you have no fears? Or you're oblivious and you don't think about anything. You're just thinking about, I'm going camping and I don't care what happens, right? Was this video helpful to you so you're prepared when you do go and have a lot of fun there? And do you have any questions? If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them, or anybody who comments or anybody who's lurking around who watches my videos but doesn't want to say anything. Step out and say something if you've been on the beach and you have something great to add. And if you're any of those girls who used to camp with us and spread that baby oil all over yourself and bake out in the sun, tell these people all about that. They want to hear it in the comments because I know a few of you watch. Anyway, I don't want to deter you from going to the beach. The Texas beaches are fantastic. But I do want you to heed the warnings before you go. Make sure. Another one, be careful in the sand. Make sure you get out and check it out before you pull your camper onto it. Make sure you know where you're putting that camper or your tent, and don't get stuck in your car either. But you can drive on the beaches. That is one of the things that I really love about it. You don't have to tote your stuff from 500 miles away to get up there. Everything you can need is in your vehicle and you're ready to go. So, hope this was helpful. Hope you will subscribe, like, and give me a comment. Let me know where you would like me to go next and what advice that you would like to learn about. What warnings, what good things you would like to know about. All of that. We will be traveling and bringing you more information. So stay tuned. I still want to hear what you think about everything. Tell me about your beach adventures. Tell me about your worries. Tell me about your fun. And baby oil girls, leave some comments. I want to hear from you because I'm still laughing almost 30 years later. I think it's been 28 years. 28 years since that Easter beach trip where all you fool girls slathered yourself with the baby oil and cried about it for 2 weeks. Anyway, much love, y'all. See you on the beach.